Very good morning to you once again. If you're just joining us, let's get into this conversation now. Over 200 people have lost their lives last week and 3,407 are behind bars as a result of the recent unrest in the country. The violence and looting incidents began after the sentencing of former President Jacob Zuma to the Escort Correctional Center. His son, Duduzane Zuma, has been quoted as saying the people that are protesting and looting must do it, quote unquote, carefully and responsibly. Well, Duduzane Zuma joins me now to discuss these and other issues that we want to touch on this morning. Duduzane, thank you very much for your time. The understanding is that you were part of the cleanup campaign in Durban recently. Were you indeed a participant in the cleanup campaign?
Thank you very much, Mr. Mkambi. Good morning to you and your viewers. I think I've been part of the cleanup campaign and many other things. Not at this point, but over a period of a long time. And I think as well as part of securing certain parts of the neighborhoods, I've been part of those initiatives. So I've been playing my part to the best of my abilities.
Yeah, well, some people will view those actions as an effort perhaps to make amends, if you like, after what people have said was a campaign, not just by yourself, but your sister as well, to instigate the unrest that we saw. Do you agree with that sentiment?
Mr. Mkambi, I completely disagree with that sentiment. That is the furthest thing from the truth. And if you look at my history and what I stand for, that is completely contrary to my belief and my value system.
If you disagree, Mr. Zuma, I just want to play this short clip of yourself, and let's just have a listen quickly before we engage further.
People that are protesting and looting, please do so carefully and please do so responsibly.
Those were your words, were they not, sir?
That's correct, sir.
So what did you mean when you said people who are doing the looting must do so carefully and responsibly?
I think, Mr. Ngama, you played, that must have been a 7 or 8 second clip, which has been making the rounds, out of an entire 11.5 minute clip. So what I'd ask you to do is to play the entire clip so everyone can get the context and the content of what I was saying.
Yeah.
I think people are trying to focus on a certain voice clip or video clip and just blowing it out of proportion. I think there is comments that I made leading up to that point, and I think there's just been some sort of misunderstanding or confusion around it. But if you play the entire clip, you'll understand what it is that I was trying to say.
Unfortunately, we don't have the full clip, Mr. Zuma, but perhaps you can help paint the context, which then ultimately led to those two very disturbing comments, some people might say, to say to people, if you are looting, do so carefully and responsibly. That's encouraging looting, is it not?
That is definitely not encouraging looting. If you watch the whole clip, and I'll explain the context of the clip. This clip was done maybe 3 or 4 days into what is known as the unrest at the moment. There's obviously been a lot that's been said about me and my participation in what's happening in the country right now. A lot of finger pointing in my direction, which is the furthest thing from the truth. So the video clip that I recorded, which is out there in the public domain, is about an 11.5, 12-minute clip. And I sought to detail to people that may have this belief that I'm involved in whatever is going on, to completely dispute and disagree with what's going on. So I condemned the violence, I condemned the large-scale looting and destruction of property, which is what I've done many times before, not at just this point. And I also spoke about certain platforms that I do not form a part of, that have been used under my name. So this video was for clarity, and then leading up to that point, and I think people are, if they watch the video, they'll understand that I was trying to make a point, and you know, people are just trying to take it out of context. And what I was saying is, and I've said this in public before, the events that have led up to whatever's happening in the country, and you know, we all seek answers, and those people that are responsible for anything untoward should be brought to book. I was denying my involvement, and at that point I was speaking about, leading up to that point, I was speaking about there's a lot of tension and apprehensiveness and anxiety in our country, and rightfully so. So you look at the people armed up and protecting their communities in whichever way, and I was speaking about them doing so responsibly as well, and being safe, as well as others that may be in the areas that the widespread unrest was happening.
When you say, and I'm sorry to interrupt you here, when you say the unrest and the anger is understandable, what do you mean when you say it is understandable?
Yeah, when I say understandable, and this is, and I'm always quoted out of context, so let me put that into context. And what I've said is there are a few issues, underlying issues that have caused, and this is in my belief, that have caused the problem right now in our country, and will continue to cause it if we do not deal with it. So the understanding from my side is you have people that are sitting and are hungry. They die from starvation. They do not have access to employment and means to feed themselves. So when I talk about understandable, I'm talking about it as an idea of someone who is desperate. And I'm not talking about the unrest part. I'm talking about the protesting, people trying to shed light on their situation. Not the unrest, not the looting, just the right to protest, to say, guys, we're in this situation. We're living in the periphery of society. We have been forgotten about, and we're crying out for help. Now, if someone is left in a situation where they have no food on the table, what do you expect them to do? That's where I'm coming from. Now, when it comes to destruction and looting and that sort of thing, that's not what I'm talking about. And that's why I'm saying people are taking my quotes within a short clip and taking it out of context. That's what I mean.
All right. Just out of interest, are you, and I know you don't speak for your sister, Duduzile, but are you worried at all that law enforcement might come your way as one of those who are viewed as having instigated this unrest and violence?
So, Mr. Mugambi, I'm aware that there's Mr. Steenhuisen, John Steenhuisen from the DA has apparently laid charges at police stations somewhere in Durban. And that's fine. People will do what they need to do and fight for what they believe in. From my side, there's no such thing. As I said, I've denounced it. This is not the first time I'm being accused of wrongdoing. This is now the second time. And law enforcement will do what they need to do. But if I may make the law enforcement's job a whole lot easier, there's video clips out there that speak in its entirety. You can look at the whole clip. You will see that I was not instigating any violence. And you'll understand that a lot of stuff has been taken out of context in relation to the content that I was speaking about.
Yeah.
And secondly, there's the purported media account, social media account that supposedly is me. I mean, I've dealt with that issue numerous times on numerous platforms, locally and abroad, and I'll continue to say so. So I'll say one more time, I'm not on social media. I never have been. I do not form part of any social media, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, WeChat, TikTok, whatever exists out there. So those comments attributed to that social media account that is not verified, of course, as we can all see by the lack of a blue tick, is not mine.
All right. And
thirdly, I welcome any investigation. And if I can take you back to 2020, there was an investigation that was done by an online media platform. I won't mention their name. And what I find quite suspicious, if I may say so, is they are pushing this narrative that I'm responsible for it, when they're the ones that did this investigation over a year ago.
All right.
I didn't ask them to do it. They instituted it. They know whose account it is. They've got the name of the account the account holder, as per IP address and username and that sort of thing. So
all right.
I'm not afraid of what the law enforcement will do because I've done nothing wrong.
Let me ask you this question. Do you take responsibility at least for how the video has been interpreted, given that we now also have over 212 people who have sadly lost their lives as a result of the unrest?
For all those people that have lost their lives, obviously it's not an ideal situation for them and for any of us, so we sympathize with those people. But I cannot take responsibility at this point because I have not been part of any instigating of any sort. So if you refer back to that very same video clip in its entirety, you will see that. So people boiling this down to 7 seconds, that's unfair and it's unfortunate.
Yeah.
But I think if people watch that message in its entirety, and anything else that I've said before this message, they'll see where I'm coming from. As a matter of fact, this message popped up maybe 3 days into the unrest, and I was trying to clear up certain misgivings. So I'm definitely not the basis or the origins of whatever is happening. So I can't be expected to take responsibility because I have not instigated any violence.
Mr. Zuma, before I let you go, we know that at this time the Zuma family is also grieving, having lost Ubaba Michael Zuma. Are you aware whether your father will be allowed to attend the funeral of his brother?
Mr. Mgambi, I'm not aware at this moment. I think those are events that will unfold, and I'm sure you'll know before I know.
Well, condolences to you and the family, and we extend our sympathies to you. Thank you very much for your time. Duduzane Zuma, the son of the former president, we thank you for your time.